Hare Krishna.
Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramhansa Pariprajrakacharya, Ashtottara Satashri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Kun Radha Kuniri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamana Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Maharaj, and thank you everyone for joining us for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Wednesday, November 16th, 2022 in New York, a day later in India. And tonight we're starting where we left off, which is third canto, 9th chapter, and verse number 38. Very eager to hear your comments and questions. And if you'd like to lead tonight's closing kirtan, today is your lucky day. And we're so happy you could be with us, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Akendra Prabhu. And thank you to all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yachchakartanga matstotram matkatabhyu tayankitam yadvatapasi te nishta saesha madanugraha. O Brahma, the prayers that you have chanted, praising the glories of my transcendental activities, the penances you have undertaken to understand me, and your firm faith in me, all these are to be considered my causeless mercy. Purport: when a living entity desires to serve the Lord in transcendental loving service, the Lord helps the devotee in so many ways as the Chaitya Guru, or the spiritual master within. and thus the devotee can perform many wonderful activities beyond material estimation. By the mercy of the Lord, even a layman can compose prayers of the highest spiritual perfection. Such spiritual perfection is not limited by material qualifications, but is developed by dint of one's sincere endeavor to render transcendental service. Voluntary endeavor is the only qualification for spiritual perfection. Material acquisitions of wealth or education are not considered. Om Jnana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Pandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrashatam Shahagana Raganatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Shahagana Lodita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prashabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So from this verse we understand that all the ingredients for performing devotional service, the necessities for devotional service, are achieved by the Lord's causeless mercy. The Lord told Brahma, Mat Stotram, the prayers you offered me, Mat Kata, the words regarding my activities, Abhyudhaya Ankitam, enumerating my glories, Yadva Tapasi Te Nishta, your penances, your faith, Saesha Bhadanugraha, they're all my causeless mercy. You're able, whatever you were able to do, that was all by my grace. The first line of the purport I find extraordinary. Srila Prabhupada said, people like my purports because they're realized. They're not just ABCD, not just some academic exercise. Prabhupada says, when a living entity desires to serve the Lord in transcendental loving service, the Lord helps the devotee in so many ways as the Chaitya Guru, or the spiritual master within. And thus the devotee can perform many wonderful activities beyond material estimation. Of course, that's Srila Prabhupada speaking from his own personal experience. He desired to serve the Lord, and the Lord made so many arrangements, helping from within and from without also. And so Prabhupada was able to perform many wonderful activities, and he attributes that to the mercy of the Lord. Any other comments or questions? Kendra Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I was thinking about this verse and how all-encompassing the Lord's mercy seems to be in all of our acts, thinking, feeling, willing. It's all the Lord's mercy in one form or another, whether we're desiring to serve him or even desiring to try to enjoy ourselves. Anything that happens is another form of the Lord's mercy. But this is not my customary way of thinking about things. I customarily think, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. But this clarifies a whole approach to life that we seem to be called to adopt. That it's just a whole gigantic paradigm shift in the way we think that we're doing something, but actually Krishna is doing everything through us, because Krishna is everything, and we're just tiny little specks of his energy. And anyway, it's a little mind-blowing for me. I'm sorry. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's like a shift between pious and impious. The impious person thinks that it's all me, and his whole life is wrapped up around a sort of self-centered view of existence. And the pious person, or the fortunate person, thinks that everything is the mercy of Krishna. And takes Krishna into account, or takes God into account in all activities. So we find that our forefathers were accustomed to say things like, by the grace of God, or if God desires, or other such expressions. Even heaven only knows. But increasingly, those are just outmoded or forgotten, because we've become increasingly impious. More can be said, but yes.
As we entered the Sudama Lila in Krishna book last night, Jiva Goswami's commentary said that the Palashruti to the last chapter, it said Vishnu Sadaito Bhavik, that hearing Balaram's Parikrama tour, or visiting the holy places, it will Bhavik, imperative. You'll definitely get Vishnu's mercy, the Daita of Vishnu. And Jiva Goswami says, what is that mercy? And he says that it's Parikshit Maharaj's increased enthusiasm to hear more. So now he's begging Shukadeva Goswami, tell me more. That's the manifestation of the mercy, that you want more and more.
Yeah. The Jiva Goswami was saying that by hearing, we want to hear more. So this is the pious result of hearing, is that we want to hear more. Kadambakanan Maharaj and I were talking yesterday. The people come to Vrindavan, and the Deliwalas come, and there's like 5 people, and they're making a show of dancing, and they're making a video of the whole thing, and this is their what they do. So in one sense, it's rather crass. But if you look at it another way, they've come to Vrindavan. They think, let me come to Vrindavan. And so many people come because they think that this is pious, let us come. So that good fortune is there. So we all have some combination of pious and impious. But the pious credit can be, the devotional pious credit can be increased by these activities of hearing, chanting, discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you, Rajesh. Saraswati.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Param Puchya Maharaj. This verse brings to mind a pastime that my father told me of this great devotee in the Pushti Marg Sampradaya, Surdas, who was born blind from birth, but he was a singer, a poet. He composed so many beautiful poems, and one of the pastimes was every morning he would sing the glories of Lord Krishna, particularly what the deities were wearing. And one day the pujari thought, oh, I don't know if someone's telling him because he's blind. How can he be singing glories about what the Lord is wearing? So one day the pujari didn't dress Srinathji at all. And Surdas still sang, oh, my Lord, you are still waiting to be dressed. No one has dressed you as yet. So then the pujari knew that despite him being blind, there was a divine vision that he had. He could actually see Krishna as he is. So that was such a beautiful pastime. I felt that it's important to share that. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. I was also thinking, because Prabhupada mentions that by the mercy of the Lord, even a layman can compose prayers of the highest spiritual perfection. We have the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj. All the demigods offered beautiful prayers, nicely composed in Sanskrit poetry. And Prahlad Maharaj said, all these demigods have offered prayers, what can I say? But by the mercy of the Lord, he was able to glorify the Lord. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj, touched by the conch shell of Lord Vishnu, he was able to, he was inspired to offer prayers to the Lord. Thank you. Tulsi Priya.
Jai Maharaj. When my husband was speaking, it reminded me of something that I first learned through one of Satsvarup Maharaj's books. And then I think it was in the CC, and I'm kind of hoping one of the devotees might know what I'm talking about because I cannot remember the verse or purport it was in, but Srila Prabhupada says we should not even attempt to do anything without asking permission from the Lord first. And I remember when I first read that, I thought, wow, that's just too much, because we all want to do certain things, we have ideas or we have desires. And I guess I wonder, how do you know you have permission to do it if you do ask for it?
Kaviraj Goswami got a garland from the deity, which he took as permission.
Mm.
Again, we have this mindset that I'm just going to do whatever I want to do and push on with it. I interviewed a devotee who'd been, I've told this before maybe, been instrumental in building the Delhi temple at Santnagar. His father was a big industrialist. He had the franchise for Sylvania light bulbs for the whole of India. And he had other businesses. So the son told me, he said, I did this and I did that, and I earned my MBA, and then I helped with my father's this business and that business. He said, and then I got permission from my father to start my own business. So, as Westerns, we think, permission? Permission to start your own business? You want to start a business, you start it. But here, the mindset is that by the blessings of superiors, by the permission of superiors, I'm able to do something. So that's spiritual, that's culture. And for those who are spiritually fortunate, that same mentality extends to the absolute. That ultimately I have to see whether this is in line with the desires of the Lord. Otherwise, I don't want to do it, or I have no right to do it. So this is again, we come to the point that Kendra Prabhu makes, that we may have a tendency to think independently, but real culture means thinking that, well, what does Krishna want?
What did you tell about Kaviraj? This one in the garland?
Yeah, we're talking about permission. So a Kaviraj Goswami received a garland from the deity, and he took that as permission to write Chaitanya Charitamrita, apart from endorsement by other devotees. Praveen has written
Thank you, Mary.
Katanchana smrite yasmin duskaram sukaram bhaved vismrite viparitam syat Sri Chaitanyam namamnitam. Things very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if one does not remember him, even easy things become very difficult. To this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances. What's the context here? Oh, in regard to permission. Okay. Yes. Should we move forward? Pritoham astu bhadram te lokanam vijayet chaya yadhastav sir gunamayam nirgunam manuvarnayam. I'm very much pleased by your description of me in terms of my transcendental qualities, somewhat, which appear mundane to the mundaners. I grant you all benedictions in your desire to glorify all the planets by your activities. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord like Brahma and those in his line of disciplic succession always desire that the Lord be known all over the universe by each and every one of the living entities. That desire of the devotee is always blessed by the Lord. Another, no scholar would write this, but Prabhupada writes that this is the desire of the devotee, to see that everyone in the universe hears the glories of the Lord. The impersonalist sometimes prays for the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Narayan, as the embodiment of material goodness. But such prayers do not satisfy the Lord, because he is not thereby glorified in terms of his actual transcendental qualities. The pure devotees of the Lord are always most dear to him, although he's always kind and merciful to all living entities. Here the word gunamayam is significant because it indicates the Lord's possessing transcendental qualities. Yadas ashtau shir gunamayam nirgunam ma anuvarnayam. The Lord is nirguna, but gunamaya, full of qualities. So the Brahma, the Lord says, Pritoham, I'm pleased, and therefore Bhadram te, my blessings to you. Lokanam vijayech jaya, may your desire to glorify all the planets be successful. Yadasto shir gunamayam. That's what you prayed for. And may it be successful. The Anuvarnaya you described very nicely by transcendental qualities. Srila Prabhupada comments that glorifying the Lord as the embodiment of material goodness is not very satisfying. This is the Mayavadi idea that the Lord is the ultimate, is the impersonal Brahma, and the Lord appears as the embodiment of goodness, or sometimes as the embodiment of ignorance. They're different ideas. But this is a material conception. Prabhupada called it philosophized Vishnu. It's a material notion. So it's not Gunamayam. Yes, he's full of qualities, but their ideas that he was full in the material quality of goodness. But the devotees understand that he's full of transcendental qualities. The Kendra Prabhu draws our attention to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. I'm intensely pleased with bhakti, which arises from my mercy. See my astonishing skill. With a desire that the progeny you create will be victorious, you praise me by saying that I had a form with an ocean of wondrous qualities, and also described that I was devoid of material qualities like sattva guna. I'm pleased with that. Let there be auspiciousness even for those who praise me for having qualities like sattva guna in the form of Narayana. I'm not pleased with those who say I have no qualities. Let there not be auspiciousness for them. So Vishwanath reads it a little differently, or takes a different view. Srila Prabhupada said, no, the Lord is not pleased with those who glorify him as the embodiment of material goodness. And Vishwanath allows that, all right, he's a little pleased. At least they're glorifying him. At least they're glorifying him. Brahma's prayer is pure. You're devoid of all material qualities. And others say, well, he's the embodiment of sattva guna. So, all right, even something is better than nothing. At least they've glorified the Lord. But those who say have no qualities, impersonalists, they're useless. No auspiciousness for them. Any further comments? Okay. Ya etena puman nityam stutva stotrena mam bhajet tasyashu samprasideyam sarvakama vadesharaha. Any human being who prays like Brahma and who thus worships me shall very soon be blessed with the fulfillment of all his desires. For I am the Lord of all benedictions. Purport. The prayers offered by Brahma cannot be chanted by anyone who desires to fulfill his own sense gratification. Such prayers can be selected only by a person who wants to satisfy the Lord in his service. The Lord certainly fulfills all desires in regard to transcendental loving service, but he cannot fulfill the whims of non-devotees, even when such casual devotees offer him the best of prayers. Well, Srila Prabhupada steers us clearly away from the idea that this is a benediction for those who want to approach the Lord for satisfying their own desires. Just hear the prayers of Brahma and your material desires will be fulfilled. No, Prabhupada reads it as spiritual desires. Any human being who prays like Brahma and thus worships me. So Brahma is not praying, I want this, I want that. What do you want? You want to create the universe. So how do I help you do that? That was Brahma's desire. That was Brahma's desire. And for the fulfillment of that goal, he prayed to the Lord. And the Lord is Vada Ishvara, the Lord of all benedictions. So he, when pleased, he blessed Brahma. Yes, your project will succeed. Any questions, comments? Kendra Prabhu.
Well, thank you, Maharaj. An additional thing here that in the purport, I thought it interesting that Prabhupada words it that he, meaning the Lord, he cannot fulfill the whims of non-devotees.
Yeah, I noted that also. I didn't put much significance in cannot. It seems to me that he means will not or doesn't want to, because he can. It's not inability, but unwillingness. Yeah. At Prabhupada, there was some time he was somewhere and devotees thought he might be tired of standing, and so they offered him a seat in maybe it was some outside kind of restaurant, where they have cafes on the street. And Prabhupada said, no, the spiritual master cannot sit in such a place. So he could, but clearly he was unwilling to do so. Saraswati says, since Brahma received benediction to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the universe and every planet, are we to understand that even the lower planets offer opportunities to hear and serve Krishna and become perfect in that service? There's not much, we don't hear much about opportunities for service in the lower planets. We hear about is that place ruled over by the Nagas, and everybody is like suburbia. Everybody's happy in material consciousness. They never think of death. They're in darkness, but that's okay. Just a little light from the jewels on the hoods of the Nagas. The opportunity comes when the Sudarshan Chakra comes, and brings death. So not much opportunity in lower planets. Praveen says, when the spiritual master is not present, when can we say that I have permission? There could be an innovative idea which no one agrees to, but one could say, I'm convinced that my Guru Maharaj wants me to do this. There could be ideas which no one may agree upon, but could be very beneficial for the movement. Or the ideas could really be reckless. So when do we say, I have permission? First, in a general sort of way, we have authorities and we're guided by our immediate authorities. Prabhupada wasn't always present in every temple to say yes or no to this idea or that idea, but he gave us the understanding that these people in charge were his representatives and that we should therefore act according to their direction. If they authorize something. Who authorized you to do this? My temple president. So Prabhupada endorsed that system of having representatives and being guided by such representatives, whether they're temple presidents or Sankirtan leaders or senior devotees. When they give permission, then we can take that as permission. I'm convinced, but I'm convinced is one should be, what's the word? When it's simply I'm convinced and no one else agrees, then we should be very convinced. That is to say, we understand that now I'm on difficult ground, and I'm staking out a position that no one approves. It's only me. Under such circumstances, one hopes that there's some other indication that you see something in a purport, you get some indication from the Lord from within, the deity in some way gives you an indication. Sometimes that may be there, that you're a majority of one, that no one else sees it, and you've got it right. But one has to be aware that, all right, that's I'm taking a bold stance. Generally, we're happier when we can say that everyone's on board with this. Everyone's on board with this. But sometimes, all right, by my own conviction. And of course, as you say, that can be reckless also. That one is convinced, but one is foolishly convinced. He's just headstrong. He hasn't thought it through. He's undertaking some action or project that doesn't make sense. But he's convinced that he's doing the right thing. And then later, it comes out that it didn't make any sense. That the divine inspiration may not have been so divine. Maybe that's as much as I need to say there. Murari Guptapamu, how will the desires of non-devotees be fulfilled if Krishna won't fulfill them? They may not be fulfilled. They'll never be fulfilled. Durashaya, ye bahirartamanina. The desires of the non-devotees who will never be fulfilled. They have unlimited desires. Asha, pasha, shatar, pradha, kama, krodha, praya. So they may, even if they achieve what they dream of, it won't be the fulfillment of their desires. Tripyantine akubana bahuni kurvana. Hope that's all right. Tulsi Priya.
Maharaj, going back to the idea of permission, in response also to what Prabhu wrote, I was just remembering there's a priest who was pretty famous. He was a Jesuit priest, and he was an academic, a paleontologist, a philosopher, a writer, a teacher. And he had some teachings he would do, right. He made some writings, and the Catholic Church took issue with some of the things that he was saying, and they demanded that he recant. And he was like, okay, and he recanted, and then he went off and kept doing his paleontology. And so, but it turns out that over, in subsequent years, he a lot of people came to his defense within the church, in terms of his theology, in terms of his paleontology work and all that stuff. And later popes and so forth, endorsed him. And one of the vows that priests take in the church is obedience. And that's not something that we talk about so much, in terms of taking a vow of obedience. We say we surrender to the spiritual master, but a lot of times people seem to have a line, and when they think their spiritual master, has infringed too much, it's like, no, I cannot follow this, But I always think of Teilhard de Chardin, because he had a lot at stake, and he said, okay, I'll recant it. And then without any real endeavor on his part, his views became endorsed later on. Not that this gives him any real validity, because he's not really a Bhakta, I don't think, even by Catholic standards, but it just shows that because he followed that vow, he was later vindicated in what he was doing.
Yeah, that may come. I was thinking of Prabhupada, who basically wasn't endorsed, really, carried on this whole campaign. They were sort of stay within the mud, stay within our authority, stay within our little world. And Prabhupada took it that he had an order from a higher authority. It wasn't imagination, but he had received an order, and he took it fully to heart, regardless of what others may have thought. So, a mature devotee, an advanced devotee, can act in such a way. Anything else? Purtena tapasa yagya dhanar yoga samadhina radham nishrayasam pumsam madpritis tattvavinvatam. It is the opinion of expert transcendentalists that the ultimate goal of performing all traditional good works, penances, sacrifices, charities, mystic activities, trances, etc., is to invoke my satisfaction. Purport: there are many traditionally pious activities in human society, such as altruism, philanthropy, nationalism, internationalism, charity, sacrifice, penance, and even meditation in trance. And all of them can be fully beneficial only when they lead to the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of any activity, social, political, religious, or philanthropic, is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. This secret of success is known to the devotee of the Lord as exemplified by Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As a good, non-violent man, Arjuna did not want to fight with his kinsmen. But when he understood that Krishna wanted the fight and had arranged it at Kurukshetra, he gave up his own satisfaction and fought for the satisfaction of the Lord. That is the right decision for all intelligent men. One's only concern should be to satisfy the Lord by one's activities. If the Lord is satisfied by an action, whatever it may be, then it is successful. Otherwise, it's simply a waste of time. That is the standard of all sacrifice, penance, austerity, mystic trance, and other good and pious works. The Purtena Tapasaya Gyaradhyana Yoga Samadhi, by samadhi, trance, by charity, by sacrifice, by tapasya, by traditional pious activities, no good result. No good result unless the Lord is satisfied. The verses there in the first canto that the ultimate result of activities, Suttasya, Krishtasya, Suttasya, like that, that Uttama Shloka, the perfection of all activities is reached by devotional service. So if one uses whatever capability one has, one's education, one's inclination for pious acts, whatever one has in the service of the Lord, then it's very good. Prabhupada gave the example the scientist can use his scientific qualifications to glorify the Lord. The artist can glorify the Lord. Otherwise, it's useless. What do we care about your science? What do we care about your paintings of mundane objects, mental speculations? What do we care about anything? It will all be lost. It will all be useless. But when these same activities are engaged in the glorification of the Uttama Shloka, the personality of Godhead, then they become successful. Radham Nishreyasam Pumsam Amat Priti. When the Lord is pleased, and that was Arjuna's experience, that he pleased the personality of Godhead by fighting. For his own pleasure, he was unwilling to fight, but for Krishna's pleasure, he underwent the difficulty of fighting, or accepted the horrible consequences of fighting, the unbearable task of fighting against his grandfather, against his teacher. Krishna wants it. All right. Let me do it. Any comments here? Kendra?
Thank you so much, Maharaj. When I was hearing this pair of sentences here that Arjuna did not want to fight, but then when he understood that Krishna had arranged it, then, he says that is the right decision for all intelligent men. I'm thinking how there's a strong tendency, like Prabhupada says in other purports, that we in the material world, we take a very dim view of accepting service, because our experience is that those whom we serve in the material world don't really have our best wishes at heart. They're just trying to do their own thing, and we're pawns in their game. But what I'm taking from this is that, yes, Krishna arranged the whole battle of Kurukshetra, but he arranged it for Arjuna. He arranged it was a specific service for Arjuna to do, because it would satisfy Arjuna to serve Krishna in that way. It wasn't just that Arjuna was like a material pawn, but Krishna had arranged the whole thing for Arjuna to do.
Yes. Yes, it was for Arjuna's glory. Arjuna became glorious by fighting. Thank you. This is the verse I had in mind. Idam hi pumsastapasashrutasya va svishtasya suktasya chabudhi dattayoho avichutarta kavibir nirupita yaduttama shloka gunanavarnam. And here, kavibir nirupita is the same as tattvavit matam. The authorities have decided, learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns, charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who's defined in choice poetry. So when everything is used, or anything is used, the glorification of the Lord, and the Lord is satisfied, that's our success. Anything else? Comment above. Saraswati, Arjuna surrendered to the will of Krishna, but we hear that when he had his independent idea of how to engage in a fight which went contrary to Krishna's service, for example, the duel with Jayādvaita, Arjuna took the vow to kill the enemy by sunset or kill himself, and was led in a merry hunt as devised by Duryodhana. And Krishna advised against this engagement. When Arjuna persisted and was going to fail, Krishna intervened to save Arjuna by covering the sun and bringing the enemy in front of the battlefield for Arjuna to kill. So Krishna saves the devotee even when the devotee goes against him. Yes, the devotee on the caliber of Arjuna, even if he makes some mistakes, the Lord excuses the error, or even helps. All right, thank you for that. Shall we have some kirtan? My band is not here today.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Ashtotra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai, Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Radha Kunidi Govardhani Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Jamnamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Jai Maharaj, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you everyone for joining. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jayādvaita Maharaj Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna, Guru Dev, Ki Jai.
Hare